Elvis's Las Vegas residency wasn't just about entertaining fans, it was part of a dangerous deal with organized crime families who used his performances to launder money and control the casino industry, and when Elvis tried to break free, they threatened to kill him. The International Hotel in Las Vegas seemed like the perfect venue for Elvis Presley's comeback in 1969, offering him the chance to perform regularly for enthusiastic audiences while maintaining a stable base of operations that would allow him to rebuild his career after years of disappointing movie contracts. What Elvis and his management team didn't fully understand was that the International Hotel was deeply connected to organized crime families who saw his residency not as entertainment but as an opportunity to legitimize their casino operations and create new channels for money laundering that would be virtually impossible for law enforcement to detect or disrupt. The Genovese crime family, led by Anthony "Fat Tony" Salerno in New York, had been working for years to establish a foothold in Las Vegas casino operations, but their efforts had been hampered by increased FBI surveillance and federal investigations into organized crime influence in Nevada gaming. Elvis's residency at the International provided the perfect cover for their activities, as his performances would draw massive crowds of legitimate tourists and entertainment industry figures whose presence would make it difficult for law enforcement to identify and track criminal activities conducted under the cover of normal casino operations. The financial structure of Elvis's Las Vegas contract was deliberately designed to facilitate money laundering operations, with complex payment arrangements that allowed organized crime families to inject illegal funds into the revenue stream generated by his performances. The contract specified that Elvis would receive a percentage of casino profits in addition to his performance fees, creating a legitimate justification for large cash payments that could actually represent the laundering of illegal gambling, loan sharking, and drug trafficking profits through the entertainment division of the hotel's operations. If this incredible story of organized crime infiltration and the dangerous world that Elvis unknowingly entered has captured your attention, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. What happened when the king of rock and roll became entangled with the most dangerous crime families in America would ultimately put his life at risk and contribute to the circumstances that led to his tragic death. Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's manager, was aware of the organized crime connections associated with the International Hotel, but he saw these relationships as beneficial rather than dangerous, believing that criminal protection could actually enhance Elvis's security and ensure the success of his Las Vegas performances. Parker's own background included questionable associations with gambling figures and entertainment industry criminals, making him comfortable with arrangements that a more legitimate manager might have avoided or reported to law enforcement authorities. The sophisticated money laundering operation that used Elvis's Las Vegas performances as cover was far more extensive than anyone in his inner circle realized, involving multiple organized crime families and generating hundreds of millions of dollars in illegal profits that were cleaned through legitimate entertainment industry transactions. The scheme worked by inflating attendance figures at Elvis's shows, creating fictional ticket sales that justified large cash deposits that actually represented illegal gambling profits, drug money, and proceeds from other criminal enterprises. The casino's accounting systems were manipulated to show that Elvis's performances were generating far more revenue than they actually produced, with the excess funds representing the insertion of illegal money into the legitimate financial stream. These inflated revenue figures were supported by falsified attendance records, fake ticket sales documentation, and elaborate bookkeeping schemes that made it appear as though Elvis's popularity was generating unprecedented profits for the International Hotel when much of the money actually came from criminal activities. The merchandise and concession sales associated with Elvis's performances were also used as vehicles for money laundering, with criminal organizations purchasing large quantities of Elvis-related products and memorabilia at inflated prices to justify cash transactions that were actually designed to clean illegal profits. These purchases were often conducted through shell companies and front organizations that existed primarily to facilitate the movement of criminal funds through legitimate business channels. The complexity of the money laundering operation required the cooperation of numerous individuals within the International Hotel's management structure, including accounting personnel, security staff, and entertainment division executives who were either directly involved in criminal activities or who were paid to ignore suspicious financial transactions. The involvement of so many people in the scheme created multiple points of vulnerability, but it also provided layers of protection that made it difficult for law enforcement to identify and prosecute the responsible parties. Elvis himself was kept completely unaware of how his performances were being used to facilitate criminal activities, but several members of his entourage began to notice unusual patterns in the financial arrangements surrounding his Las Vegas shows. These observations included the presence of known criminal figures at his performances, unusually large cash payments for services, and accounting discrepancies that suggested the hotel's finances were not being managed in accordance with standard business practices. The organized crime network that controlled Elvis's Las Vegas operations extended far beyond the International Hotel to include casino owners, entertainment executives, and law enforcement officials who had been corrupted through bribery and intimidation. This network provided protection for the money laundering operation while also creating new opportunities for criminal activities that ranged from illegal gambling and loan sharking to drug trafficking and extortion schemes that targeted high-profile entertainment figures. Meyer Lansky, the notorious organized crime financial mastermind, was reportedly involved in structuring the financial arrangements that allowed criminal organizations to profit from Elvis's Las Vegas residency while maintaining plausible deniability about their involvement in illegal activities. Lansky's expertise in creating sophisticated money laundering schemes was crucial for ensuring that the criminal proceeds could be successfully integrated into legitimate financial systems without triggering investigations by federal authorities. The criminal network also included corrupt law enforcement officials who were paid to provide advance warning of any investigations into organized crime activities at Las Vegas casinos, allowing criminal organizations to adjust their operations and destroy evidence before searches could be conducted. These corrupt officials also helped suppress investigations into suspicious financial activities and provided false information to federal agents who were attempting to track criminal money flows through Nevada gaming establishments. The protection provided by this criminal network extended to Elvis personally, with organized crime figures ensuring his physical safety while he performed in Las Vegas in exchange for his continued participation in the money laundering operation. This protection was presented to Elvis as a normal security service, but it actually represented a form of control that made it difficult for him to leave Las Vegas or change the terms of his performance arrangements without risking retaliation from criminal organizations. Several attempts were made by federal investigators to infiltrate the criminal network surrounding Elvis's Las Vegas operations, but these efforts were consistently thwarted by corrupt law enforcement officials who provided advance warning to organized crime figures. The failure of these investigations allowed the money laundering operation to continue for years without significant interference from law enforcement authorities. Have you ever wondered how organized crime families were able to maintain such extensive control over Las Vegas entertainment during the 1970s? What do you think about the possibility that other major entertainment figures might have been unknowingly involved in similar criminal schemes? As Elvis's Las Vegas residency continued through the 1970s, he began to notice disturbing patterns in the people who surrounded him and the financial arrangements that governed his performances, gradually becoming aware that his career was being used for purposes that went far beyond legitimate entertainment. The presence of known criminal figures at his shows, unusual security arrangements, and suspicious financial transactions began to create a picture of organized crime involvement that Elvis found increasingly difficult to ignore. Joe Esposito, Elvis's road manager and one of his most trusted associates, was among the first to recognize that criminal organizations were using Elvis's performances for illegal purposes, but his attempts to discuss these concerns with Elvis were discouraged by Colonel Parker and other members of the management team who had financial incentives to maintain the existing arrangements. Esposito's growing awareness of the criminal connections created tension within Elvis's organization and led to conflicts about how to address the situation without jeopardizing Elvis's career or personal safety. Elvis's own observations about the criminal nature of his Las Vegas operations were reinforced by several incidents in which he witnessed activities that could only be explained by organized crime involvement, including meetings between hotel executives and known criminal figures, unusual cash transactions, and security arrangements that seemed designed to facilitate illegal activities rather than protect legitimate business operations. These observations created increasing anxiety for Elvis, who began to understand that his career success was dependent on the continued cooperation of dangerous criminal organizations. The psychological pressure of performing while knowing that his career was entangled with organized crime began to affect Elvis's mental health and his ability to maintain his usual performance standards, leading to erratic behavior and increased reliance on prescription medications to manage the stress of his situation. The fear of criminal retaliation if he attempted to break free from the arrangements also contributed to his sense of helplessness and his growing dependence on drugs as a way of coping with circumstances beyond his control. Elvis's attempts to discuss his concerns about organized crime involvement with members of his family and close friends were met with skepticism and advice to avoid causing trouble that could jeopardize his lucrative Las Vegas contract, leaving him isolated with knowledge that he felt unable to act upon without risking serious consequences for himself and the people he cared about. By 1976, Elvis had become determined to break free from the organized crime entanglements that were controlling his Las Vegas career, and he began working with trusted advisors to develop a plan that would allow him to terminate his contracts and pursue other performance opportunities that were not connected to criminal organizations. This escape plan involved careful legal maneuvering designed to find legitimate grounds for contract termination while avoiding direct confrontation with the organized crime figures who controlled his Las Vegas operations. The legal strategy developed for Elvis's escape attempt focused on documenting contract violations and identifying irregularities in the financial arrangements that governed his Las Vegas performances, with the goal of creating grounds for legal termination that would not require him to directly accuse anyone of criminal activity. This approach was designed to provide Elvis with plausible legal cover while allowing him to distance himself from organized crime influences without triggering retaliation. However, the criminal organizations that controlled Elvis's Las Vegas operations became aware of his escape plans through their extensive surveillance and intelligence networks, leading to direct threats against Elvis and his family that made it clear that any attempt to break free from the existing arrangements would result in serious consequences. These threats were delivered through intermediaries who made it clear that organized crime figures considered Elvis to be a valuable asset that they were not willing to lose. The failure of Elvis's escape attempt led to increased surveillance and control over his activities, with criminal organizations taking steps to ensure that he would not be able to make future attempts to break free from their influence. This increased control included closer monitoring of his communications, restrictions on his travel and business activities, and the placement of additional criminal associates within his organization to ensure compliance with organized crime directives. The psychological impact of the failed escape attempt was devastating for Elvis, who realized that he had become a prisoner of his own success and that the criminal organizations controlling his career would not allow him to pursue legitimate alternatives to his Las Vegas residency. This realization contributed to his increasing despair and his escalating use of prescription drugs as a way of coping with the hopelessness of his situation. The final year of Elvis's life was marked by increasing pressure from organized crime figures who demanded that he continue performing despite his deteriorating health, viewing his potential retirement or death as threats to their money laundering operations that needed to be prevented at any cost. The stress of performing under these circumstances while dealing with serious health problems created a situation that contributed directly to the medical crisis that ultimately killed him. The organized crime figures controlling Elvis's Las Vegas operations began making preparations for his potential replacement, identifying other entertainment figures who could be used to continue the money laundering schemes if Elvis became unable to perform. These preparations included preliminary negotiations with other performers and the development of alternative money laundering channels that could be activated if the Elvis operation was compromised. The circumstances of Elvis's death on August 16, 1977, occurred at a time when he was planning another attempt to break free from organized crime control, leading to speculation among some investigators that his death might not have been accidental but could have been the result of criminal intervention designed to prevent him from exposing the illegal activities that had been conducted through his Las Vegas performances. The immediate aftermath of Elvis's death saw the rapid dismantling of the money laundering operation that had used his performances as cover, with criminal organizations moving quickly to destroy evidence and eliminate any traces of their involvement in illegal financial activities. This cover-up was facilitated by corrupt law enforcement officials who ensured that investigations into Elvis's death focused on his prescription drug use rather than examining the criminal connections that had controlled his career. The organized crime figures who had controlled Elvis's Las Vegas operation successfully avoided prosecution for their involvement in money laundering and other illegal activities, with many continuing their criminal careers in other entertainment industry schemes that used similar methods to clean illegal profits through legitimate business transactions. The success of the Elvis operation served as a model for future criminal enterprises that used high-profile entertainment figures as unwitting participants in money laundering schemes. What do you think about the possibility that organized crime families continue to use entertainment industry figures for money laundering and other illegal activities? Have you ever noticed suspicious financial arrangements or unusual security measures around major entertainment events that might suggest criminal involvement? The legacy of Elvis's entanglement with organized crime serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers that entertainment figures face when their careers become valuable to criminal organizations, and the difficulty of escaping from criminal control once those relationships have been established. The failure of law enforcement to protect Elvis from organized crime exploitation highlights the challenges of investigating and prosecuting criminal activities that are conducted under the cover of legitimate entertainment industry operations. The financial success of the money laundering operation that used Elvis's Las Vegas performances generated hundreds of millions of dollars in profits for organized crime families while contributing to the circumstances that led to his death, demonstrating the human cost of criminal activities that prioritize profit over the welfare of the individuals who are exploited to generate illegal gains. The fact that Elvis was never able to break free from organized crime control despite his wealth and fame illustrates the power that criminal organizations can exercise over even the most successful entertainment figures. The story of Elvis's Las Vegas entanglements continues to influence law enforcement approaches to investigating organized crime involvement in the entertainment industry, though the sophisticated methods used by criminal organizations to exploit entertainment figures have evolved to keep pace with technological advances and changes in financial systems. The lessons learned from Elvis's case have informed efforts to protect other entertainment figures from similar exploitation, but the financial incentives that drive organized crime involvement in the entertainment industry remain powerful forces that continue to threaten vulnerable performers. This incredible story of organized crime control and the dangerous world of Las Vegas entertainment shows us that even the most successful performers can become prisoners of criminal organizations that view them as valuable assets rather than human beings deserving of protection and respect. If this story opened your eyes to the hidden dangers that entertainment figures face, make sure to subscribe for more investigations into the criminal underworld that has shaped the music industry. Share this video with someone who needs to understand how organized crime continues to exploit entertainment figures for illegal profit. And let us know in the comments, what do you think can be done to protect performers from organized crime exploitation and ensure that the entertainment industry operates free from criminal influence?